Okay. First of all, welcome to NUS E-Open House, specifically to the session hosted by us at Chua Community Leadership Center. My name is Chng, Hoon. I am the director of the Community Leadership Center at NUS. And today, what I want to do in one of two sessions, my other session being on Thursday, is to talk about, to overview the minor program curriculum at Chua Center itself, so that prospective students get a sense of what it means to do a minor program in NUS, and more specifically, what they will be doing if they sign up for a minor degree program with Chua Center. Okay, so that's the main thing in today's talk. At any point, if you have a question or comment, feel free to put it in the chat. And later on, when we have a chance for Q&A, you can, of course, choose to ask your questions directly. And in fact, at any point in the presentation, you can interrupt me, raise your hand on the Zoom feature. And we can always stop halfway and entertain a question or comment. So totally free and easy. Don't. This is not meant to be a lecture, and so interrupt at any point that is convenient for you, using whichever mode that is most comfortable for you. Okay. So welcome. Let me share screen for a couple of minutes so that you can see some of the things that I'm talking about today. Okay, I hope everybody can see the slides. Elsie?
Yes, can see the slides.
Okay, thank you very much. So welcome once again. I've titled the talk, Why Do a Minor Degree in Community Development and Leadership? As my way to walk you through and a quick overview of the curriculum itself. I am Chng Hoon, director of this center, and that's my email address. After the fact, if you should want to email me about anything to do with our degree program or about being in NUS, I'm happy to answer your email. Okay. Okay, so first of all, why do a minor degree in community development and leadership? Well, I think that before we even try to answer why, we always need to know what exactly is community development and leadership, and why get a degree in this particular domain. Well, here is the definition, my definition of what community development and leadership is about. It's about community engagement, and it's about building sustainable and resilient communities, because we believe in improving and in empowering our communities. We want to influence policy, we want to effect social change, and we believe in equality and social justice, and we want to achieve all these goals by working with the community. So I would like you to pay attention particularly to words like building sustainable and resilient communities, empowering communities, because I will recall this definition again later on. So in a nutshell, community development and leadership is about engagement. It's about empowering and improving communities. So in Chua Center, well, we take what is called an ABCD approach, where ABCD stands for asset-based community development. What it means is when we go into a community to do work with the community, we do not want to view the community and the people in it as having problems, necessarily having problems. They obviously, many communities, including our own, would have all kinds of challenges. But it's very important to realize that we have strengths, we have talents within our community, we already have skills in place. These are what we call assets, right? And hence the A in ABCD, asset. Asset-based community development means that we take the perspective that all communities, no matter how challenging the people may find their location, they always would have skills and talents. What we do as community developers is we go into these communities and we help to identify where the strengths are, how to optimize those strengths, and make recommendations for improvement. So in other words, we don't want to look at it as a half-empty glass. We always look at the situation as a half-full glass and to work out a way to make it even fuller. So it's a much more empowering and positive approach towards community challenges. So then why do community-based work? Well, I think all of you would have your own answer, and you can always think about that before you get into work of this kind. But from my point of view, we want to do community work because this work is absolutely meaningful. All our students who have come into our program have one thing in common. They are passionate about community causes. They want to do something for their community, and there are causes in the community that they think are worth championing. So meaning and passion are very important reasons for wanting to be involved in community. Secondly, I think there are definitely very clear needs, many challenges in the communities that we see around us. So for example, in Singapore, we are an aging society. And with an aging population comes many, many challenges. There are all kinds of health challenges, and there are other kinds of social issues in our community that requires attention. For example, wealth gap. There are still among us in affluent Singapore who are classifiable as low income. And low income usually translates into lacking resources, not having access to certain types of expertise. So as community developers and leaders, we want to help to close these gaps. We want to help to empower communities so that they can also have a higher quality of life. So there are clear needs within our communities, even in a country like Singapore, and it's up to all of us to find ways to improve our community wherever the gaps are found. And we do this work because by helping our communities, we improve the quality of life in our society as a whole and contribute to overall individual and social well-being. To me, that is definitely a goal worth working towards. So these are reasons that I can think of why anybody, myself included, will want to be involved in community-based work. I'm sure you would have your own reasons. Quite a number of students who come into the Chua Center to do our Certificate of Minor program tend to be people who have done some amount of volunteer work in their community. And very often we are asked, is it not sufficient for people to just be an ad hoc volunteer? Why do I need to get a degree in this domain? Well, as a former volunteer myself, I think volunteering is absolutely wonderful and should definitely be continued. All organizations out there, NGOs, enterprises require a lot of people on the ground to help them do the good work that they do. So volunteering is wonderful. Do not stop volunteering. But recall that definition that I put up earlier, that community development and leadership is about engaging and building sustainable and resilient communities. So I emphasize sustainable and resilience. I think ad hoc volunteering does not always necessarily add up to sustainability. And so by equipping ourselves much more systematically with community development knowledge and skills, we can hopefully do work that is longer term and much more sustainable in the long run. And if what we do is sustainable, then we have a better chance of improving and empowering the communities we are serving. And we would have a better chance to influence policy and social change if we ourselves are better equipped. So to be a community leader, then we need skills, and we get skills through learning those skills. And we need knowledge about the community that we want to serve. We need to understand the social issues in our society, and definitely the specific social issues that come with that specific communities face. And we also need to know then how to go about finding solutions to help the community build assets, build strengths within themselves so as to enable their own sustainability, right? So we can't be there for forever. So we need to help members within the community build their own assets so as to enable their own survival. So then I come to the need to pursue a degree. Why do a degree in community development? At this point in Chua Thian Poh Center's history, we do not have a major program yet, like all the major faculties and schools. But we do have a minor degree program, and we do have a certificate program, and this is what I want to show you today. To me, by doing a minor degree or a certificate program in community development and leadership, what we are doing is we're taking the first step to equipping ourselves much more systematically with the deep knowledge about the complex social issues facing our community today. And we do that by familiarizing ourselves with the social issues themselves and with the research on the subject. We also do that by understanding the methods in which we need to approach the problems we want to help to alleviate, how to go about collecting the data and to do the data analysis, and later on that lead on to recommendations and proposals for change. We need to be exposed to the whole range of community development modules that will give us the intellectual and the practical skills that will help us to operate as a community leader. So to me, this is why we want to do a degree program. We want to learn the theory, we want to learn the methods, we want to learn all the other skills that's required to equip ourselves as a practitioner later on. So in Chua Thian Poh Center, just like the minor degree programs in NUS today, we have 20 modular credits, right? 20 modular credits translate generally to 5 courses, because most NUS courses would have 4 credits. 4 times 5 courses gives you the 20 credits required for a minor degree. But we have a small difference here in Chua Thian Poh. I'll show you in a minute. So this is the Chua Thian Poh range of courses that we have at this point. There are 3 compulsory modules. The first one, engaging and building communities, is the theory module. And the second one, research methods for community development, is the compulsory methods for module. And the third one then, after finishing theory and methods, our students do a practicum or a community-based project to apply what they have learned in the 2 compulsory courses. And then, so if a student has done the compulsory theory course, then the compulsory methods course and the practicum, that would qualify the students to get a certificate from Chua Thian Poh Center, because our certificate program is basically these 3 components. Now, to get the minor degree, what a student has to do is to do the theory course, the methods course, the practicum, and then choose one elective. Choose from any of these 4. As the semester goes by, we will keep on adding more electives to give more options for students. But at the moment, we have these 4, and the student would just have to choose one, and that would give the 20 modular credit, because 4 from here plus 8 plus 4 plus 4, that is 20. And this will give you the minor degree. So to know more about the curriculum, the description of each of these courses, this is the websites that students can go to. Basically, it's the CTPCLC website under the curriculum button, okay? And the minor in community development and leadership can go well with almost any major degree that a university can offer. So here I list just a few examples of students I know who have major degrees in film studies, in media-related departments, in public health, in public policy, social work, almost direct synergy with community development work. And students on sociology also tend to do minor in community development and many more. So this is my way of assuring all incoming students that it doesn't really matter what subject you choose to do. Whatever the subject is, a minor degree is a good idea to have to add to your university education. And a minor degree in community development can fit your whatever subject you choose. We can talk more about this in a minute. This is the graphic representation of your journey through the Chua Thian Poh Center. So the first step is usually to take the theory course. So this is our 1101, the compulsory theory. The second compulsory course that students take would be the research methods course. And then with theory and methods under your belt, do the project. And the project is a 1-year project. This is a new feature. It used to be a 1-semester project. We've extended it to 1 year to give students more time and more depth in the work with the community. So with these 3 courses, theory, method, and project, a student would already have secured the certificate in community development. And then if the student is interested enough to choose one more elective, the 4 that I showed you so far, that would qualify for the 20 credits that make up the minor program. So it's basically just 4 courses because our project module is 8 credits, okay? So this is a very simple structure. Let me give you examples of projects that students have done in our center. Elsie, can I just say that if there's anything and you need to stop me, just stop me, because I'm on the slide share, so I can't quite see what's going on with chat and so forth, okay?
So far, okay. No questions on the chat. You can carry on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So just to give you concrete examples of projects, well, these are 2 of my students, Wan Shen and Cheryl. They both happen to be social work major, and they were supervised by me and Miss Kwa Ting Ting, one of our instructors. In fact, Ting Ting gave a talk yesterday. Some of you were here listening to her talk yesterday on youth in the community. So these 2 students chose to do a project with me and Ting Ting on literacy. And the community partner that we work with is called Calvary Community Care. It is a English literacy provider out there in Singapore. The headquarters is somewhere in Potong Pasir. So the abbreviation is C3, 123, C3, CCC. They wanted us to help them with a piece of research in the kind of work they do, which is teaching literacy skills to very young children. Children before they go to primary school and children who may already be in primary 1, who for some reason is not entirely prepared in terms of English. So our students decided to work on what is called an ethnographic approach and to studying literacy development. What they do is they interviewed 4 families, the 4 caregivers of 4 children who attended C3, and looked at how their home environments have affected, either helped or hindered their development in English. So they have found it, our students have found many things through working on this project with C3 and the 4 families. But one of the interesting finding that they have, that I put here as an example, is they found that generally these caregivers lack the knowledge and the resources to help their own children's literacy development. So these children are all very smart and very promising, but their home environment is not ideal because the people who care for them, could be their parents, could be their grandparents, are not knowledgeable about what kinds of resources are needed to help a child learn English. So for example, many of these families that we have interviewed are quite afraid of going to the public library. They think that the public library is such an English-dominated space, and they being, quite a number of them are Chinese-speaking, found it intimidating to even step into the library. And if the parents are afraid to go to the library, you can imagine that the kids do not get a chance to go to the library. And when kids are not introduced to reading, it will affect the literacy development to a large extent. So this is one kind of project that Chua Thian Poh Center students have done. Here's another example. This one has got to do with technology adoption, the attitudes and perceptions in technology adoption among elderly people in seeking health consultations about their health. You know, in Singapore, we are trying to be a smart nation, and there's so many apps that are being invented, that are being made these days for everything, right? So there's apparently a health app to help elderly people to access healthcare services. So, but what in this project, and this is the group of students who work from Chua Thian Poh Center who decided to work on this technology adoption issue among the elderly community in Singapore, and their supervisor is Dr. Satvia Kaur. She's giving an open house talk tomorrow at 7 p.m. She teaches the theory course, by the way. So what they found are various things that even among the elderly population, there are people who are early adopters. They already have iWatch and they like technology. They readily take on things like the health app. But understandably too, there's a group of people within the population that are resisting technology. They don't want to use the app. They say, I see no value in having an app like that. I know how to seek information. I don't need an app, so I don't need the technology. And then there's another group who say that I'm willing to learn how to use the technology, but I need help. Basically, they need ambassadors or somebody to sit down with them to walk them through the gadgets. And other people say, I will adopt the technology if it is affordable. If I have to pay for it, I'm not sure it is for me. So these are some of the attitudes towards technology adoption, with everything from early adopters to resistance to somewhat willing but need help, right? So this is another kind of project that we do at Chua Thian Poh Center. Let me give you some other examples, and you can see this on our website when you visit the Chua Thian Poh website. This is our lecturer, Dr. Angeline Lim, and she supervised among many projects. This first one that I listed here, building an inclusive dementia-friendly community in Keban Baru. Angeline is very much into healthcare issues, and dementia is one issue. Mental health is an issue that she's very concerned about. She led a group of students to work on a project specifically in one community, Keban Baru in Singapore, to figure out, within their direct neighborhood, what are the things that a dementia person a person with dementia and their caregivers need in order to feel comfortable living in that environment. So this is a part of a bigger project to build more inclusive, dementia-friendly communities in Singapore. As you know, dementia is an issue that challenges many societies, not just Singapore. So it's a very important health-related project. Other kinds of projects we've done include cancer rehabilitation projects, understanding the cancer journey for caregivers and for patients. We've done community mapping in low-income neighborhoods. This one in particular is Gimbo, where students would interview specific people within this community to figure out their challenges and their needs. And then we've done also projects about elderly communities in high-rise environments, right? People who live in one-room flats, in rental flats, or in flats, period. What is that kind of living environment like for the elderly population, particularly those who have been used to other ways of living in the past, right? We all, as the current generation, we accept high-rise living as part of the norm, but the previous generation do not all see it in the same way. So all these are the types of issues, you know, as you can see, it's a wide range, right? Whether it's needs and assets of residents in Jurong, polypharmacy in Rinse Hospital. Polypharmacy refers to the number of medication that an average elderly person needs because of certain whole range of conditions, right? This one, I recall that the definition was if you have 10 medication or more, you qualify under this polypharmacy criteria category. And many elderly people do take 10 medication or more, right? So this was a piece of research I recall that was done by a pharmacy student together with Rangel Hospital to figure out the medication, the types of medication and the number of medication that an elderly person takes. And lastly, redesigning healthcare for a new delivery model. This is work with Alexandra Hospital, got to do with allied care and community care. So you can see the range of issues, right? Whether it's elderly population issue, low income neighborhoods, healthcare issue, and so forth. And like the one I showed you before on technology on literacy, just about any issue lends itself to a project from our point of view. So the first thing any student should do is to think in terms of what is their interest and work with us to formulate a project. So for more examples and details of these project write-ups, you can go to our website and look under the research projects, and you'll be able to read many reports on this issue. So here are some partners we have engaged, right? Partners are the organizations we work with when we work on these projects. So as you can see, we've worked with many hospitals, and we've worked with Asian Philanthropic Circle, part of the Thian Foundation. This project has got to do with assisted living. We've also worked with Beyond Social Services, particularly for low-income families. And C3 is the one I showed you earlier in the example, the literacy example. ISCOS, it's the organization that helps with ex-offenders. Make the Change is the CEO of this place, works quite directly with Singapore schools and youths on mentorship issues and so forth. We have even worked internally within NUS with NUS care units about NUS student welfare issues, right? And we have also worked with Singapore Cancer Society. So many different partners we have worked with. There's almost no limit to who we work with and what sort of projects. Now, our alumni, and here again, you can go to the website and find out more about a number of profiles that we have done on our alumni and students. Here, I just give you two examples. What are they doing now? And the first one, Mr. Wong, he's here with us today. So in a minute, I'll invite him to talk to you directly. But on our website profile, Jing has said this when we asked him about his involvement with Chua Tian Po Center and his work in community. I quote him, he said, "Today, apart from my work in MSF," and this was, he gave us this quote a number of years ago, and he's still with MSF. He said, "I'm volunteering at a local grassroots network to assist in community coordination efforts on a weekly basis. This involves understanding deeply rooted issues within a family, and depending on the complexity of the case, the targeted approach would vary as well. The aim is to provide a holistic case management for complex cases by leveraging on coordinated efforts between government agencies, community partners, and grassroots volunteers." He's here today, so he can come in, talk to you directly about what he has said in this particular quote. It's a very rich quote. Here's our other alumni that I just want to draw to your attention, Mr. Lim Wei Jie. By the way, as you can see, Jin Jie studied at NUS this school and graduated in 2018. And Wei Jie studied in FS and psychology, graduated in 2017. So this is why I said earlier, in many ways, what your major subject is does not really matter. There's room for you to do a minor program like community development. So Wei Jie is a co-founder of Forward Coffee. I don't know whether the audience here is familiar, but I think he already has 3 outlets around Singapore. And it's a social enterprise that seeks to empower persons with intellectual disabilities through training and employment in the specialty coffee industry. He's such an amazing young man. Not only did he co-establish this social enterprise, all the people who work in his coffee place are people with needs, and he trains them and mentor them and help them to build confidence in being full-time coffee barista and servers and so forth, right? So this is what people who have walked through the journey with us at Chua Tian Po Center within NUS have done after graduation. Okay, so this is the site where you can see some other profiles of people, of former students who have come through our program under the Student Fellows tab. Okay, and finally, this is my team. It's an all-woman team by accident, not by plan, but by accident. Happy accident, actually. Dr. Angeline Ang, she teaches methods and a couple of electives. Dr. Satya Kaur, she teaches theory and a couple of electives. And this is Miss Kwa Ting Ting. She teaches the youth course, and she'll be coming up with other courses in the future. Our manager, LC, our curriculum coordinator, Vic Neshwari, our website person and collaterals designer, Miss Hazel Hong, and Andrea is our management associate. She's here with us just for 6 months to help us in our work. So an all-woman team, I'm really proud of them. Okay, so we are now ready for questions. If there are any other questions, I just want to draw your attention to 2 other talks that will come tomorrow and the day after. So tomorrow, Satya is going to talk about her theory course and how to do community development at 7 p.m. And I'll do another talk at 3 p.m. Similar to today's talk, but with slightly different focus, trying to help those who want to get in community development, how they might get to start thinking about this in this direction. Okay. Contact us anytime at this email, ctpclc@nus.edu.sg. Okay, so that's all for now. I'll take off this screen. Okay, let's see. Have there been any questions from anybody? Comments before I invite Jin Jie? Perhaps Jin Jie, you can help me with start the ball rolling. That quote that I lifted from the website, is it still all true? You are still at NSF, you are still grassroots volunteer, you're still trying to coordinate between government agency, community partner, and the rest of it. Is that all still true for you?
Yes, actually. So I'm actually still doing. I'm still with MSF. My role has evolved quite a bit since then. Since when I provided the code, I think early last year, in fact, or 2 years ago. And then regarding the local grassroots network, I've changed wards in the recent elections, and I've moved to a place. I actually went over to Boon Lay. And it's a lot more complex in that region, because when we look into the different neighborhoods in Singapore, actually there are some neighborhoods that have significantly more rental flats and a lot more complex issues that are entrenched within the community. So for Boon Lay itself, I'm leading this team of volunteers and grassroots volunteers that are living in the community, and together we actually look into all these cases and try to address the needs of the family. And then most of the time, as we have earlier introduced about ABCD, the asset-based community development, is that it's quite prevalent in grassroots work, I feel, because we are really using a lot of assets within a community, like people that are living there, people that know that geographical area a lot better than us. But they are able to tap on the different organizations within the neighborhood and stuff. So actually, it is a very nice place to volunteer in lah. And then for family, we always explore into their aspirations, and then we, as much as possible, we try not to prescribe like solutions for them, but more of like working together with them to find out what exactly is the best way forward together with them, so that they can actually what our goal, right, is more of like maybe like in few years time they are able to contribute back to the society, right, in their various ways, like maybe like because I've been through this and therefore I want to contribute in a similar manner. So that's something that we wanted to replicate as well. Yeah.
I think those are absolutely important points you have underscored here, and I really want the audience to take away these points. Number one, in working with the Boon Lay community, you recognize that Boon Lay people know best what their needs are and what might be the best way forward. As community leaders and developer, we don't want to walk into a community and think that we are the experts. We are not the experts. At least we don't live there. We don't, many of us may not live in the neighborhood that we are studying and helping. And so we do not fully understand the experience of people who are natives of those communities. So we should adopt a humble approach in wanting to learn from them and wanting to partner with them. So the partnership is extremely important, that kind of attitude that we take towards community empowerment. Chng, can you take one step back and say, you know, here you are, imagine a couple of years ago, you just graduated from NUS. How did you even thought about working with NSF in the first place? You know, was there something that dropped on your lap, or you planned for it, or you just decided, oh, you know, let me go try? How did it come about, your first job?
Actually, this has a lot to do with CTPCLC, and okay, a little bit more background of myself as a student. I also have a minor with social work. So actually, I'm a business student with a minor in social work as well as CTPCLC. So actually, this whole experience kind of formed the foundation for me, and more of like led me towards the path of exploring very specific sectors, I would say. So back then, when I was a fresh graduate, I was actually only looking into 3 very broad areas. So one is on philanthropies foundations, so more on the philanthropies and charity work. Second is to social service agencies, so more on the ground. And then lastly is public sector, which is in MSF lah. So actually, I was looking very broadly into these 3 areas, partly due to the kind of things that I'm interested in, and due to the 4 years of student life, it actually led me towards this direction. So I was very specific. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess then for many students who are newly graduated or about to graduate, I often hear them worrying that they don't know where to look, what the focus ought to be. Very few students are perhaps lucky like you, where you already had your zone sort of narrowed down, right? You had certain focus points, and then you're able to explore successfully one particular direction. What if I totally don't know where to look, what to do? I kind of know what I'm interested in, but I don't really know where things are, you know. I wonder what sort of advice we might be able to give students in that, young graduates in that position who are worrying about how to take that first step. The way I usually advise students is to listen to your own interest as a first point, because unless we are really interested in something, it's very hard to wake up every morning to go and do that something, right? Yeah, but I don't know whether that kind of advice is specific enough.
For me, I would say that even my job right now is within the private sector, public sector. It's not so much on community development per se, but I'm more plugged into the sector because I'm in Ministry of Social and Family Development. So my work is more corporate. It's still more on workforce and strategic planning. And what I always tell myself is it's more of like, because I do have some juniors that also ask me about this, and they don't know where to apply to and how should they go about with their job search, right? I'll always advise in terms of like, it really depends on what is motivating you right now in life and what you want to see in future. If you're not clear of that, then try to explore a few areas of a few sectors or industries that you are interested in. Like for me, it's very specific, but actually within each industry, right, there will eventually be some overlapping things or like things that you do out of your free time to still explore your interests and things. Let's say, for example, I'm from engineering, but it doesn't mean that once I go into let's say a semiconductor industry or so, I'm not going to be involved in the community development anymore. Or it's more of like, it's always an alternative experience that always elevate the kind of life that you have in future. Like because of what I've been through, it led me to where I am now. Yeah. So I wouldn't really say that because of because you're unsure of where you go, but eventually things will still work out and you will still be involved in the community in one way or the other.
Right. Let me make one more point before I move us to the curriculum itself about studying. Yeah. The point I want to make is that I think in many organizations nowadays, it may not be obvious, like when you look at the project with Chng Hospital. Many students are a little bit surprised that we even do a project with Chng Hospital, right? What does a hospital have got to do with community development? My answer is that almost every organization now has a community concern of some kind, may even have a group of people or units that's devoted to community-related issues. So in the healthcare sector and the hospitals in particular, they are of course primarily in the business of delivering healthcare. But part of the business of delivering healthcare nowadays is a very holistic kind of care. You don't just treat patients and care for patients, you also care for their families, the caregivers of these patients. So hospitals have all kinds of therapy programs, not just for patients, but caregivers programs. And these are the kinds of programs that very often are in need of more research or evaluation of the effectiveness of the program. So some of the projects that Chua Tian Po Center has been involved in has got to do with helping the hospital groups determine like the healthcare delivery model. How would the community take to a new healthcare delivery model, right? So I think my point is that the organization that you are looking at, whatever the organization is, may not look like an obvious place to do community development. But under the surface, many organizations, it doesn't just have to be a ministry like MSF or a ministry like MCCY. It can be a hospital. It can be a ex-offender organization, right? It can be anything that, well, because in almost any organization, there is community involvement somewhere. There's an angle that all our students can tap into. I would like to move us quickly to studying, because our prospective students, I think their very first concern is obviously about balancing their studies. So one question I get asked a lot is, how do I manage having a major in subject X and then still minor in subject Y? And on top of that, be a USB student and so forth, right? So Chng, you did do a major and a minor. Not quite sure what else you did when you were in NUS. Did you do student exchange on top of that? Were you involved in clubs?
I didn't do student exchange by choice, mainly because I wanted to focus more into developing into the social work and sector area. Because when I decided to take up a minor in social work and to concentrate my efforts in this area, it was very late into my student life. It was like year 3 or 4 that I actually made this decision to go into this area. So I had to concentrate and really move things along the way. And then in terms of juggling, I would say a minor is a lot easier to juggle compared to a major, because major has a lot more requirements and a lot more strict requirements per se. But for a minor, actually, there are always a lot of rooms for you to rooms within the schedule. That's what I'm trying to refer to actually plan and to carry out your projects and assignments at the same time. So actually, I would say the prospective students now are a lot more fortunate compared to the past, because right now the modules are designed as credits, like credits, so that when you do the minor, you're actually clearing the requirements at the same time. So it wasn't the case last time, like like three years ago. Yeah, about 3 to 4 years ago, it was very different. So you still had to I still had to juggle these things here, which doesn't really fulfill my graduation requirements and stuff. So right now it's really a lot more flexible. Like, you get to plan your modules within the curriculum, and then every semester most students take 5 modules and it's really quite a comfortable thing if you actually plan out your schedule well enough. 5 or 6 modules, it's actually quite okay compared to the past.
Did you plan way ahead? I know of some NUS students who tell me that they plan the entire 4 years from day one, you know. Some people say, well, they plan about 2-3 years and then make adjustment to the plan as they go along.
I did kind of plan out my curriculum for 3 years, but it dramatically changed in year 3. Like I took that decision to tweak, and I modified certain things along the way.
So what I'm hearing is that obviously the major degree has much more complex requirements than a minor degree, but a minor degree has the advantage of being very flexible in the way you can make choices that would fit into the requirements. And of course, a minor degree is very light in terms of the number of things people have to do. The advantage that you saw is that it used to be that in the past, you have to do these things on top of whatever you're doing in your major program. But now what the NUS curriculum has done is to accommodate, to find ways to put everything within the whole degree structure. so that students would have space to do their major, space to do their minor, and everything will add up to graduation credits without loss of time and energy. In fact, we allow some cross-counting. And so if you take, for example, we have social work students in particular who have done methods courses in social work. So because they have done that in a major degree, they don't need to do the methods course in Chua Thian Poh program, right? Because methods is the same across disciplines, whether it's quantitative methods or qualitative methods with very little differences. So there's not much point in making students repeat what is essentially going to be fairly the same type of content. So we exempt them and will count their methods course from another discipline into our program. So in that way, a student saves time in having to redo a course. So that's the kind of plan, that's the kind of accommodation that we make within the curriculum to help students to get going with their degree requirements. Yeah, so it's very doable now. I know that most students do 5 courses a semester, but I bet many students will do 6. Some even do 7, you know. I don't know whether they get to sleep or not. Did you get to sleep when as an undergraduate?
Actually, I do 6 modules quite on a regular basis because I'm also under the USP, the University Scholars Program. So
okay.
So eventually, when I decided to switch to take up a minor in social, that means it's actually you are taking on even more modules beyond your graduation requirements. So that's only that will only happen if you want to take more and more. I would say even like a lot more things on your plate. Then you'll likely have to explore juggling 6 modules, 6 or 7 modules at one go. But I would say right now the academic requirements are a lot more accommodating. I feel like a lot of modules that are able to just be crossed can be mapped to certain requirements per se. So I don't think it's that difficult. Right now.
Yeah. Okay, we did have a question yesterday about USP because one member of the audience was concerned about how USP certificate will fit into the overall graduation picture, and I assured him or her that that USP is only 48 credits actually. It's a certificate of 48 credits. The NUS degree requirement overall is 160. So doing 48 and doing a minor of 20 only gives you 68. So you still have 90 plus credits to space to finish your major degree, right? And that's how it all adds up to the 160. Yeah. Audience, we are coming to the last 3 or 4 minutes of today's scheduled time. If you have any questions, please don't be shy and either put it in the chat or raise a hand. Happy to help you with your questions. Or is everything good? Well, any final piece of advice, Junjie, for our prospective students?
Okay, I would say that if anybody has an interest in particular social cause, or like you are just very interested in exploring what the community development or relevant concept is like, it's actually a very good time to actually join the CTPCLC, because there are really a very wide network of resources and agencies that they partner with, and you are able to actually really explore a research topic that you are very interested or passionate to find out more about. And then a lot of instructors that guide you to make you think of certain angles that you might miss out on, and make you be very well versed in terms of the causes that you are interested, that social cause that you are actually very interested in, like empowering the the minorities, the persons with disabilities, and so on and so forth. So, as I'm not trying to sell the course here, but it's more of like this is really what I actually got out from the course itself, because I really gained a lot of insights into the research projects that I've done with the center. So I thought it's a very good ending note for everyone to consider, that if you are even mildly interested in it, it's no harm trying to go into this minor and explore your interest through the journey, because you're still
or even just a certificate, you know.
Yeah.
Because it adds to your CV, it gives your CV another dimension. I like to echo this very important point that Chng just made. To me, I became director in 2019, fresh out of a non-community-based discipline, right? I'm from English language and literature. And it didn't take me very long to realize that all this stuff about community development leadership is really what we call blue sky domain, meaning it is a rising need, and it is a very good, promising domain to go into. You just look around, look at articles in the news media, just look around your neighborhood, just listen to our minister talking about some social issue or other. It is extremely visible, never more visible than before. Every time I turn around, somebody is talking about dementia. Somebody is talking about low-income family needs. Somebody is talking about how to integrate ex-offenders, right? Or what we can do with migrant workers to improve their conditions, their work conditions, or with domestic helpers in Singapore. There are so many issues in need of attention. And we don't have that many people working as community developers and leaders, right? We have a lot of volunteers, with people working in ministries, doing all kinds of ministerial jobs. But the space in which that we need a lot of helping hands to work on the research about community, helping to implement policy, helping to make suggestions for policies, right? It is something where there is a great need. So a student who graduates with a certificate or a minor in community related fields like community development and leadership, you distinguish yourselves from all the other major subjects that are quite traditional in today's world. So this is, of course, I'm selling my program as director, but in a way I'm not, because I truly believe that there is need, and this is why I became director of this center, because I believe that there's so much work to be done, and every little bit of work we do will be very valuable. So I'm always happy to meet up with alumni like Thian, because they are directly working within a specific ministry, directly or indirectly, to help with community development. So they are a source of pride for me. Okay, LC, I don't see, oh, sorry, I do see a question.
There is a question on the chat. I just read it to you.
Two of them. I see them now.
Yes.
Okay, quickly, Chng, if you need to go back to work, just feel free, okay? I'll just help to answer these questions. I think Valerie, sorry, I only saw your questions now. When can we declare to do the minor? You can declare as early as you want, from day one, But my advice, Valerie, is to start a minor program, say in your third semester in, for example, NUS. Third semester means you are a second-year student, and you are starting out as a second-year student. The reason why I'm encouraging you to start in your second year rather than the first year is because usually for the first year, you need time to settle into university life. You need time to take care of a lot of compulsory introductory module in your major subject, because the introductory compulsory modules are prerequisites to other modules for your major subject. So you will be kept quite busy doing certain compulsory requirements in your major within your first year, plus enjoying university life and adapting to it. So I would say that give yourself 1 year to settle in the university, then you start doing a minor program in your second year, meaning your third semester in the university. That would be ideal. But if you feel ready to start, you can always start enrolling in electives or compulsory module in our center from your second semester, year one, second semester. I still don't recommend first semester of year one. I think you are too new. You should settle in first, okay? The second question from Ming Yuan is, must students initiate their own community projects for practicum, or can we pick up an existing project and explore? Yes, most of the time, we are the ones, we meaning the lecturers, the center, we will work with the community partners to identify projects. Very often the community partners, whether it's MSF or the hospital or wherever, they would come to us and say, we have a project and we need some students to work on it. Then we start negotiating on the project. So most projects are initiated by partners. Some projects are initiated by the center. But a student can always talk to the lecturer and say, hey, I'm interested in this issue. How can I explore a project on this issue? And then we can try to look for partners for you, right? So we can adopt a multi-directional approach in identifying a project. We would, whenever we have a project, we will issue a call for application to all our students and say, here is a project, who is interested? So if you are interested, you will come to the brainstorming, the first meeting, to understand what the project is about. And if you are interested and selected for the project, then you will start working on the project. Okay, so we help you to identify the project, no problem. Okay, I hope that answers your questions, Valerie and Ming Yan. If it doesn't, you can ask a follow-up question. Any other questions? Modules usually offered all year round, or are there certain modules that are only offered in a specific semester? At the moment, our compulsory modules are offered every semester. Yeah, our theory and methods course is every semester, so that a student can access it anytime. The electives are offered usually once a year. So some are offered in semester 1, some are offered in semester 2. So that's why you need to plan. You need to say, oh, I'm going to take that module when on this particular semester, and I'll do the other module on the next semester, right? So that's how the planning comes in. Some of these things may change along the way. For some reason, if a module is very popular and always oversubscribed, then we will try our best to get the lecturer to have the module offered every semester. But if a module is very low in subscription, then we will not offer it too often. We may even change the elective if it's not popular. So we make adjustments to our curriculum depending on demand, and then we will fix the supply. Okay. However, you don't have to worry, whether it's once a year or twice a year. We will always ensure that there's enough options so that you can graduate on time. So right now we have 4 electives in our curriculum because we're new, but in the longer term, you can expect by the time you come into NUS and are ready to take a module, chances are we would have gone beyond 4 electives. Every semester, we try to add something new. Okay. Thank you for the questions, Valerie and Ming Yuan. Anybody else? So our email address is ctpclc@nus.edu.sg. You can email us anytime if you have a question. Okay, no problem. Okay, looks like we are okay now. All right, then let me formally end this session and thank all of you for coming, and my special thanks to Chng for taking out his lunch hour to join us. Thank you for the good advice and the great points you've made for the benefit of our audience. I'll be seeing you soon on a separate Zoom about alumni engagement, and so I'll be in touch. So thank you again, Chng, and participants of this session today. Bye-bye.